Okay, so in this session, we are going to talk about the described image, which would also appear on the PTE test. And now let's jump into the information of this section. Okay, so this is a long answer speaking task type that tests speaking skills. You have 40 minutes to describe the information in a graph, a chart, map, picture, or a table. And there will be from 6 to 7 described image tasks. As you can see on the image on left hand side right here, there is the instruction, the image that you are going to describe, and also the recording status box that tell you when the microphone opens or when it press or stop. So let's look at the strategies. Look carefully at the image. So basically we have 25 minutes before the microphone open to look carefully at the image and identify the main features or trends or the names of the features or variables in label, identify the significant features, major contrasts or changes over time, and think of any implication of the information or any inclusion that can be drawn. So it's very important to identify the main features or the name of the features because it's very important for us to use that information to describe in that answer, and make notes of the main points on your erasable notebooks board booklets that was given to us or to the examiners in the session of that exam. Describe the order in which you will describe the information. Focus on the main points. Okay, so after the tone, start the general statement of what the image is all about. Then describe the most important features or trend or contrast that you see from that pictures. Don't try to describe in details. Use relevant data to illustrate the main points of that information, just to get the main idea of what you see from that image. Use your notes to make sure that your description is clearly organized. Otherwise, if we don't take notes, we will just see the image and describe it. So for the examiner, when listen to our voice, they will realize that what we're saying is unorganized, and we just describe what we see from that moment of recording. So conclude with a comment on any implications or conclusions. This is with the giving the ideas from to conclude what we finished the saying. Keep speaking. Okay, so just keep speaking. The more that you speak, the more thorough your description will be. Don't just hesitate and stop for a bit, and the mark will be lower by doing that. Make sure that you make an error in the information. Don't worry, and we can correct ourselves in after making that errors, and then just move on. When the microphone closes, click next to go to the next picture to describe. Sub-skill tested. Okay, speaking. So speaking for a purpose to repeat, to inform, or to explain. Supporting an idea with details, examples, and explanations, organize an oral presentation in logical way. Develop complex idea within a spoken discourse using words or phrases appropriate to the context, using correct grammar, speaking at a natural rate, using fluent speech, using correct intonation, using correct pronunciation, using correct stress, speaking under time limit, conditions. So if we compare or talking about IELTS test, there is also a graph to describe, but that one is in writing section. So similar to PTE, that we are going to describe image or graph or tables, but here we describe everything by using speaking. By speaking, and the time limit is about 40 seconds for an image, and there will be 6 to 7 images that we are going to describe. Presentation, practice interpreting different type of image, including line, bar or pie graph, process diagram, and maps that you see in the news story. Okay, find an image that interests you. Take brief note of the main point using keywords. Use arrow to indicate the order that you are going to say, and practice using your note to organize your description. So we can also practice giving an overview of summarizing the information in an image in a sentence, and set a timer so that you are ready to give the overview after 25 seconds of seeing the image. You will score higher if you include as well as the main points, any developments or implication or any conclusion that can be drawn. Set a timer for 40 seconds and practice describing an image or graph so you are familiar with the time and you have to speak in this task. Then find 6 to 7 images to describe and practice describing all of them with 25 seconds to look at each image and 40 seconds to describe. Record yourself describing an image, then compare your response with the image to check how complete your description was. Practice using words, phrases used to describe amounts, more or less than, approximately, or trend, rose, fell, fluctuated, remain stable, as well as comparatives and superlative such as greatest, highest, lowest, higher than or lower than. So these are some of the words that we can use to compare from one graph to another one. And now let's go and see the tip script. So the first one is look at the image carefully and make sure that you understand what it shows. If you have a graph, look closely at both axes in this graph. The vertical axis, so the percentage of the world population, not the population figures. Okay, so in this task, what we already knew, 6 to 7 tasks, and look at the image, describe it into the microphone, and here it is, the first tip, which refer to this graph. Look at the paragraph in 25 minutes, speak into a microphone, and you will have 40 seconds to give your response. So we can see that for the y-axis, there's the percentage, and for the x-axis, this is the year, and we are going to look at this image for 25 seconds, then give the response for 40 seconds. So look closely, the boxes, the percentage, not the figure. Okay, so if this image is given to you in the exam, so what are you going to describe about? Well, we can see that for Europe, which indicate in the gray line, and for the light green indicate the Asia. So we start by in the year of 1750 until in the year of 2000s. So we are going to compare these two countries, not really country, but regions of the world. We can compare that. So for the percentage of in Asia in 1950, there were 60% of the world population in that year, and while Europe has only 20% of the world population in 1750, and it just growth slowly to 1990s, which around 25%, while in Asia the population start growing in slowly to around 65% in 1880s, and then it dropped slightly until 1950, and suddenly it dropped rapidly to 1990s. And for both in the year between 1990s and 1950, you can see that both of them are dropped in the same rate, and it start growing again in Asia. So we are going to describe this kind of graph in the exam, and it is important to make practice, take some notes that what we are going to talk, and we are going to say it in a logical way. Also include or conclude what we have talked so that we can get higher score. So remember that we have only 40 seconds to describe each image. So now let's look at the second image. If there are two graphs or charts, this means that you have to make comparisons. Look at the most important similarity and differences. Look at the chart below in 25 seconds. Please speak into a microphone and describe in detail what the chart is showing. You will have 40 seconds to give your response. Reason for no longer attending school. So here the graph compared two graphs between male and female, and these are all the reasons that they no longer attending school. So obviously we can see that the first reason is because they completed their studies, and personal or family reasons, illness, obtain employment, or others. So we can first compare the first reason, which is quite similar between male and female. For male is 60%, for female is 65%. Is the reason that they no longer attending school because of they completed their studies. And we can see that this is a big difference, I think, because of employment for male, which is much higher than female, which male is 25%, while for female is only 12%, which is the half of the percentage for the male. Also with the personal and family, for female we can see that personal reason and family, which is 11%, but for the male only 4%. So for male, personal reason or family issue or whatever would not cause the male to stop attending school. So look at the third tips. Overall idea pattern, that make sure that you describe them down. Just focus on the detail. You will score higher if you include possible development, conclusion, and implications. So this is the third graph, which is the US citizen over 65 years old, and we compare between 2010 from 2010 to 2035, and the percentage is from 0 to 25%. 2010. Okay, so we can, for overall trend, we can see that the graph is increasing gradually from between 13% to around 20%, and there is no drop. The graph is not dropping, and possible development we are going to include as well. Okay, so you can think of any detail that you are going to talk about for 40 seconds. Now let's go to the four-part graph. When a graph gives information on large number of quantities, make sure that you say this correctly. In this case, the graph title tells you that it shows figures in millions of dollars, not hundreds. So here you can see the revenue growth graph, which is in millions dollars, not hundred or thousands. It's from the year 2006 to 2024, and there are two companies to compare. First one is the company X, and second one is company Y. The revenue is from 0 million to 2,000 millions of dollars. So here we can say that in the year 2006, company X revenue here means the incomes of the company that they receive every can be every year, or that basically what the income of the company that they get. Okay, so here for company X, it starts from around $400 million, while the company Y start from 0 millions, and both of them start growth for the revenue increase slowly until around 2018, and both of them increase gradually, as you can see. And for company X, it start not really increase rapidly. I can say that is gradually for the increment. But for company Y, from 2018, it's start growing significantly, as you can see, to around 19,000 19,000 millions dollar in 2024, and that the big difference. And we can compare them by using like the words that I mentioned above, like greater than, lower than, or the greatest, or we can use those words to compare. Tip number 5, you cannot always describe every point on a graph. Okay, look at the trends, and if it is quite steady, describe what it shows overall and only highlight significant differences. So we have we only have 40 seconds to respond. So if we are going to talk about each point of the graph, so that impossible to describe since the time given is not that long. Okay, so this here, reading achievement from grade 1 to grade 3. Overall reading fluencies in words per minute, and compare from grade 1 to grade 12 with 3 season, fall, winter and spring. And here is the successful reader and struggling reader. So we can compare starting from grade 1 in fall. We can see both of them are rise significantly and steadily, but starting from grade 2 for struggling reader, in grade 2 in falls, and also in grade 3 in fall, you can see that the struggling readers start dropping their overall reading fluencies in word per second from 20 words per minute to from 30 words per minute to 20 words. The same for these grade 3, but for successful reader it just keep growing steadily from 60 words per second to 80 words per second. And in falls in grade 3 it just goes significantly, just grows significantly from 80 to 120 words per minute in grade 3, which from fall to spring. But for the struggling reader, still not growing as fast as the successful readers. If you have a diagram or process, start by describing different parts, element of the process, and then move to the describing process itself. So here is a little bit different diagram, which we are going to describe that in detail, and this paragraph want us to describe them in a process. Okay, set off a method of water collection. So here we see this kind of graph with this label of let's say this one, the operators move up and down, and this is the walkway, and this is the notches on posts for climbing, and this is the lever rises, falls, and this is the pivot, rope, bucket to store the water, and here is the water itself. So we can, as you can see, this is one process that we are going to describe from in logical way. So we can talk about, okay, so there's notches on the post for climbing, and there's also an operator that walk on the walkway up and down. If they're, let's say if the they're going to get some water into the bucket, they can just walk up. As you can see, it's like a stair, just walk up, and the level start falling down to reach the water at the bottom here, and the bucket starts storing the water into the bucket. And when the operator start move down a little bit, and the bucket start lift up, so that another person right here can get the water by pouring into another content or whatever. And this is the rope that get the bucket out from the water. So this kind of graph will appear in that exam. So it's very significant or essential that you can practice using this type of graph. If you let's say you are not having enough idea graph of what you are going to see, you can go to Google, just do a Google search, say graph in PTE exam, or table or graph or diagram in IELTS, or yeah, I think that would work fine if you do some research. There are many graphs that you can practice from. អញ្ចឹងនៅក្នុង session មួយហ្នឹងគឺយើងនិយាយអំពីការពណ៌នានៅរូបភាពឃើញថាវាមានរូបភាពប្រភេទផ្សេងគ្នាច្រើននេះគឺជា graph ដូចថាមាននៅ2% មានថាមានភាគរយអញ្ចឹងណាហើយនេះគឺតកតងទៅនឹងតំបន់ដែលគេ compare ពីហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងនៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ1750ដល់ឆ្នាំ2000គឺយើងឃើញថានៅក្នុងយុរ៉ុបហ្នឹងគឺមានប្រជាជនដែលប្រហែលប៉ុណ្ណឹងភាគរយទេហើយបើសិនជាយើងមើលនៅក្នុងប្រទេសអាស៊ីវិញគឺគេមានភាគរយច្រើនដល់ 60% ណោះរហូតដល់ឆ្នាំប្រហែលជា1850ចាប់ផ្ដើមធ្លាក់ចុះប្រជាជននៅក្នុងប្រទេសអាស៊ីហើយចាប់ផ្ដើមកើនឡើងវិញម្ដងទៀតចាប់ពីឆ្នាំ1950ហើយបើចំពោះយុរ៉ុបនេះវិញគឺចាប់ផ្ដើមរីករហូតចឹងទៅហើយដល់ពេលឆ្នាំ1990ចាប់ផ្ដើមធ្លាក់ចុះហើយបើក្នុងឆ្នាំ1950វិញគឺធ្លាក់ខ្លាំងតែម្ដងគឺកំណើនប្រជាជនគឺត្រូវបានធ្លាក់ចុះកន្លែងនេះគឺការប្រជាជនធ្លាក់ចុះហើយនេះគឺជា charts ដែលគេមាន2អញ្ចឹងទៅហើយយើងឃើញថាមាន male ជាមួយ female ដែលថាហេតុអ្វីបានជាមូលហេតុអត់ទៅអត់ចូលបញ្ឈប់ការរៀនអញ្ចឹងគឺអាចមកពីដោយសារគេរៀនចប់ហើយឬក៏មកពីបញ្ហា personal or family ឬក៏មាននៅ illness ឬក៏គេបានស្វែងរកនៅការងារហើយអញ្ចឹងនេះគឺជាប្រភេទ graph ដែលយើងក៏អាចឃើញបានដែរហើយយើងអាចធ្វើការប្រៀបធៀបបានហើយនេះគឺជា chart ដែលគេមានជាលក្ខណៈ percentage អញ្ចឹងទៅហើយគេមានឆ្នាំអូខេអញ្ចឹងចុះមកទៀតគឺតកតងទៅនឹងការចំណូលការប្រាក់ដូចថាចំណេញនៃក្រុមហ៊ុនមួយអញ្ចឹងទៅចាប់ពីឆ្នាំណាដល់ឆ្នាំណាហើយយើងកុំមើលច្រឡំថា200ហ្នឹងស្មើតែ$200អីចឹងមិនមែនទេគឺគេទៅសេច្បាស់គឺក្នុងនេះគឺជា millions អញ្ចឹងយើងត្រូវនិយាយកន្លែងហ្នឹងផងដែរគឺ200 million អីចឹងទៅហើយយើងប្រៀបធៀបដល់ company X ជាមួយនឹង Y បើយើងឃើញហើយគឺ company Y គឺ start ចាប់ពីឆ្នាំ2020អីនេះប្រហែល2020ហ្នឹងគឺចាប់ផ្ដើមកើនឡើងលឿនតែម្ដងចំណូលគឺដូចយើងឃើញហើយខ្ពស់ជាង company X ទៀតបើទោះបីជា company X ចាប់ផ្ដើមមកគឺឃើញថាមានចំណូលខ្ពស់ជាងប៉ុន្តែនៅក្នុងឆ្នាំប្រហែលជា2024គឺ company Y ហ្នឹងគឺច្រើនជាងទៅទៀតចំណូលដែលរកចូលបានហ្នឹងគឺយើងនិយាយអញ្ចឹងទៅហើយនេះគឺជារូបភាពទី5តកតងទៅនឹង graph ដូចគ្នាប៉ុន្តែនេះគឺគេប្រៀបធៀបដូចថានៅក្នុង grade 1គេមាននៅរដូវកាល3 fall winter មួយ spring ហើយនេះគឺគេចង់និយាយអំពីការដែលក្មេងគឺអាននៅអក្សរនៅក្នុងមនីទីហ្នឹងគឺបានចាប់ពីណាដល់ណាក្នុងនេះគេប្រៀបធៀបពី0បានន័យថា slow អត់មានពាក្យអានហ្មងហើយរហូតដល់ប្រហែលជា120ពាក្យនៅក្នុងមនីទីបានន័យថាfluency គឺអានដោយអត់មានភាពតាក់អីអញ្ចឹងណាគឺអានដោយ rule តែម្ដងគឺអត់មានឧបសគ្គក្នុងការអានគឺយើងឃើញប្រៀបធៀបហើយនេះគឺចំពោះ reader ដែលមានបញ្ហានៅក្នុងការអានរូបភាពចុងក្រោយគឺតកតងទៅនឹង diagram ដែលយើងពិពណ៌នាអំពីដំណើរការដែលយើងឃើញនៅក្នុងរូបភាពហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងគឺយើងឃើញថាមាននៅមនុស្សចំនួន2នាក់គឺមាននៅអានេះគេហៅថា walkway បើសិនជាមនុស្សទី1នេះគេហៅ operator ដូចថា operator ហ្នឹងគឺនៅពេលដែលគេ ដើរថយក្រោយឬក៏ដើរទៅមុខអីអញ្ចឹងធ្វើឲ្យនេះpilot ដែលទប់វានេះ pivot ដែលទប់វានេះគឺវាអាចនឹងធ្វើឲ្យrope ឬក៏lever នេះវាធ្លាក់ចុះឬក៏ឡើងអីអញ្ចឹងវាអាស្រ័យទៅលើ operator ហ្នឹងហើយនេះគឺជាវិធីនៃការដងទឹកចេញពីកន្លែងថ្លុកនេះដូចយើងឃើញហើយយើងនឹងពិពណ៌នាអំពី process ហ្នឹងតើធ្វើម៉េចបានយកទឹកនឹងចេញមកបានគឺចាំបាច់ត្រូវមាន operator ហ្នឹងហើយជន់អាហ្នឹងទៅនេះគឺយើងពិពណ៌នាអញ្ចឹងតាមតែយើងមើលឃើញហ្នឹងហើយ session មួយហ្នឹងគឺយើងបានពិពណ៌នានិយាយអំពីហើយគឺពិពណ៌នាអំពី image ហើយចាំមើលថែមទៀតថាតើនៅ task បន្ទាប់ទៀតគឺយើងនឹងនិយាយអំពីអីគេអរគុណចំពោះការតាមដាន